Well, good morning. This is one poem from Lee County Pod, Jack Campbell. Our host, Pete Malignick, is ready to discuss a new poem, Jesus Be a Durag by Danez Smith. Pete, your initial thoughts on, after reading this poem, how would you introduce this poem?
Good question. I would introduce it as a powerful lyric that embodies a nationalistic fervor. I don't know, for lack of a better word. You said it the other day when we were talking. I think you said it is a prayer.
Yes. Let's go ahead and give this a read real quick, and that way our listeners and our viewers can get a good feel for what this poem is speaking about. Jesus be a durag. Jesus be a durag and be mighty. Black satin Savior stretched around my scalp. Take me in your hand and make me like the water. Be a way to tell my people I am their people. Sheer cape falling from my neck. Make me a superhero. Captain save a hoe. From myself, rag to make my unragged mornings. Let me wake up black and alive, and thinking I'm cute. Lord of Lords, be a fence around my fly. Be shield, be rock, be spell, be a dark and lovely magic. Sweet Jesus, if you God be God, let whatever reaches towards us to end us slick pass. Let America drown in our waves. If a bullet must touch us, let it graze soft as a bristle brush. Let us spill no blood on a day we feel beautiful, and we be beautiful. Let us know it. Be casket, sharp and banned from early caskets. No black person will die in this poem, but these waves might hurt somebody. Watch yourself. Swim good. Be happy we sleep with these rags on. I heard a story once about the boy who brushed his hair for 40 days and 40 nights, and when he finally slept, he forgot to wrap up his ocean. Same night, mamas start crawling from his hairline, carrying babies. Men climbed out his waves like they had just jumped off the boat. A wet army, necromants from naps. See? This hair is a right kind of holy. See? It's not hair at all. On top of our dome, a prayer carrying us home. And that is Jesus Be a Durag.
Thank you, Jack. I used the word nationalism before, and I think probably because there's a strong sense of not the singular first person I, but the plural we that I get from the poem. I'm hearing the voice of a we in this poem, if you will. Taking it from the title, the title could be a metaphor, as in Jesus is a durag. It could be a synecdoche, the durag being part of the whole of Jesus. It could be also an invocation for Jesus to be this part of we/us.
Right.
So
to inhabit.
In three levels. And of course you've got Jesus, the proper noun Jesus, to contend with, and just starting off with that gives the poem, it connects it to, for me, a gospel oral tradition. And I hear that in some of the rhythms. I see it in some of the diction in the poem as well. that gospel oral tradition.
As we discussed it earlier the other day, we were really struck with the lyric of the poem. The poem itself is very song-like. It flows evenly. It flows easily. And I think that the rhythm of the poem itself sets up the phrasing, so to speak. Would you like to comment on that a little bit further?
Sure. As far as the sight, sense, and sound, this poem has it all. If it's not already in an anthology, it clearly should be. It reminds me a little bit, not to go off the page for long, but just to connect things with some of the poems of Claude McKay that I've read, and I can't think of any one particular one right now, but it has that fervor that McKay had in his poems back about 100 years ago, or almost 100 years ago. So you've got the Durag in the title, and then you've got it the image introduced in the first line, and this is the sight aspect of it, and the sense and the sound. The first thing we see is the ampersand instead of the word A and D, and that, at least for somebody reading on the page, it gets you quicker to be mighty. Black satin savior stretched around my scalp. The alliteration there, the color black, the tactile part of it. Take me in your hand and make me, and this is where the evocation comes in. Be God. If you God, be God. Take me in your hand and make me like the water. Be a way to tell my people I am their people. Sheer cape falling from my neck. So you see, with the beginning of black satin down to falling from my neck, the image itself, what we're seeing, is inlaid with commentary that's very important. My people, their people, and this is what I mean by nationalism. I think it's what I mean by it, but the whole image there in that, not only the first tercet, the first three lines, but extended down to the beginning of the second tercet. And then you've got superhero and the sound similarity, internal rhyme, save-a-ho. Words that evoke images there, and the language being fresh and original. Save-a-ho from myself. Rag to make my unragged mornings. That repetition of let me wake up black and alive intensifies the invocation. I don't know if it is, it's an invocation.
It's an invocation.
Or an evocation, I don't know.
Yeah. As we talked about this earlier, it is a prayer. You could characterize it as a prayer. You can characterize it as a spiritual state, if you will. Smith captures this sense of a traditional, if you will, a traditional community. How it's about community that has common threads running through it.
And would we say it's about race also?
It is about race, but the race is one of the common threads. It's not necessarily the dominating thread, but it's an important thread that
and especially when the black, in talking about people, is a capital B, as opposed to the black satin, the small b.
Yes.
So yeah, the giving again there to me a racial significance. But one other thing here, Jack, that the surprises make me a superhero. All of a sudden, it's the diction of the comic book, and then Captain Save-A-Ho. I never heard that phrasing before, and that pleases me as a reader. It pleases my ear. It pleases my sensibility because it's unexpected. But also, at the end of the second tercet, what's expected is this deflection and diction from the intensity of the repetition of black and alive, and thinking, and you're expecting maybe some grand statement there, and the speaker says with lowercase I, I'm cute. This is the lowercase I because it's really the suggested uppercase W of we that I hear in this poem. I'm cute, that's a surprise, and then the evocation continuing, LAWS.
Yes.
From the gospel oral tradition.
Yes.
The two.
But it again, that part right there is also spoken in where it touches on the gospel tradition. It's also it's a dialect.
Yes.
No, it's not proper English, if you will. It's not something that some guy in Britain would say.
Yeah.
But in the South, in Tennessee or Kentucky, you certainly would hear this in a Church of Christ or a Baptist church with a large African American community. It's street speak. It's that sound. It's that sound again, Lord of Lords. It's the voice that you can hear at any given time walking down the streets of Memphis or Atlanta or heck, even here in Hobbs, New Mexico, because you have that inflection, you have that common cultural dialect that people develop.
And I'm looking at the poem right now, going down the page, but I want to emphasize I'm not trying to give the poem an explication. That's not my intention at all. I'm not trying to necessarily explain things, but simply to point out what I like about the poem, which happen to be things in every stanza that I like about it.
Yeah. Well, would you say that this poem actually speaks for itself? I mean, there are
Oh,
some poems that,
definitely.
you know, you have to go in and explain because, well, quite frankly, sometimes they're just not that well written.
Yeah.
This, to me, this is a poem that speaks for itself. That it's put together like crazy. I mean, the skill that this guy has used to put this together, to me, is quite amazing. Quite amazing.
You know, and I should explain this though. This is our second go round with this. We met on Friday, and we talked about Jesus be a Durag for roughly 30 minutes, but due to technical difficulties, we weren't able to come up with something to put on YouTube. So this is a second go round, and on my first go round, well, whatever your physical condition is to whatever you bring to reading, it impacts your reading. And I was very tired after battling insomnia before Friday morning, but did my best, and I felt motivated the more we talked about the poem. But I also had these notes with me, which I have had for a little bit, and I'm just putting them aside because we want things to be fluid, not scripted, in talking about any of these poems, and to keep the vitality of the poem there. But taking those notes, I think, helped me, I don't know, just put some mental thing in my mind of what I find significant for the poem. So good to have those. But be a fence around my fly. Okay, I've never heard that before, you know, and I sense what it means. But this kind of thing here, I can't let this go. If I did, I'd be remiss. After that, you know, the Lord of Lords, be fence around my fly. Then these hard-hitting monosyllables: be shield, be rock, be spell, be dark, boom. And then you got lovely, magic, sweet Jesus. And then the strong evocation, if you God, you know, an elliptical B there, be God, and then a line of great emotional import, let whatever reaches toward us to end us slick pass. Inversion there, pass slick, no slick pass. That sounds better.
Yeah.
Once again, it gets your attention a little more. And that line, to me, goes very well with what comes a little further down. The declaration, no black person will die in this poem. And see, the title of the poem also can be heard as a declaration, as in Jesus is, you know, too. But that's a strong declaration coming after the evocation to God. Let whatever reaches toward us to end us, or whoever reaches toward us to end us, you know, we can fill that in. Slick pass. And then you have the phrase, let America drown in our waves. Okay. Black with a capital B, America, proper noun there. Those two things make me say, yeah, part of what this poem is about is race. You know. Let America drown in our waves. And again, we don't have to sit here thinking, what does that mean? What does that mean? You go with the flow of it, and
Yeah.
and that flow is sustained in the wrapping the ocean up, and the anecdote of the 40 days and jumping
40.
off the boat. Yeah. Man, what I mean, this is some good poem.
See, the thing is that
Man,
this writing is
it's
layered.
exciting. Yeah.
It's layered. The meanings within it are layered. You
Yeah.
can previously, I can go on and on about how layered the meaning is, about how the imagery evokes mythical. That this is a mythical poem. This is a poem that draws out the Hercules, that draws out the Samson. This draws out the Kintukumte, if you will.
I wouldn't say it's a mystical poem.
No,
but
it's not
but
mystical.
But it's certainly spiritual, and it's a poem with a capital P, and that dark and lovely magic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what this is. That's what's right in front of me here.
Yes.
That's what I'm holding in my hand. It's a made thing of dark and lovely magic, and we're lucky to come across it, I think.
Quite frankly, literally, I think this is because you received an email from one of the sites that you subscribe to, a poem a day kind of thing.
Yeah.
You literally got this
From that.
No, then that it is sort of accidental that we're reviewing this, which is interesting. And maybe it's not really an accident. Maybe this is something that pops up on your feed and is like, let's do this one. And the reason we're doing it is because this is an excellent piece of work here that is layered with meanings. Again, the mythic aspect to it. I mean, you're referencing a superhero. Well, let the Durag be a superhero. Superhero. What is a superhero? It's a fictional, a mythic figure. It's a heroic figure. It's a figure that's on a journey. There's a story to be told. And this right here, again, we see the layers of meaning be that takes time to extract. That takes time, that you want to read it again and again and again, especially at the ending, the last two stanzas here. A boy brushed his hair for 40 days and 40 nights, and when he finally slept, he forgot to wrap up his ocean up. Same night, Mama started crawling from his hairline, carrying babies. Men climbed out of his waves like they had just jumped off the boat. A wet army, necromants from Naps, see. This hair is right kind of holy, see. It's not hair at all, on top of our dome. A prayer carrying us home. Again, the idea of returning to home, having a home, the idea of the dream becoming reality. What is prophecy except but a dream? What is spiritual except this connection between the heaven and the earth? Okay.
Could the boat be possibly? It's suggested to me, and it wasn't on a first reading, but it is now. Could the boat be a slave ship? Let America drown in our waves. Men climbed out. It's men climbed out his waves like they had just jumped off the boat. Possibly.
You could interpret it that way.
Yeah.
You could interpret it that the boat is
and home then something different. See, I don't want to be too cerebral about it though.
no, and it's not cerebral, but surreal.
Yeah, the image.
Okay.
The images.
The thing is that again, when you're dealing with indigenous stories, now I would classify this as an indigenous story.
Sure.
This falls right in line with some stories from First Nations cultures, coyote and crow and things like that, where you have archetypes expressed as animals, or archetypes expressed as kachinas, spirit dancers, and things like this. This falls into an indigenous story, a story in which the boy brushing his hair, he's the archetype of the creator. He is a creative force. The fact that he doesn't wrap up his hair allows creation to happen. And men and babies and women come out of his hair.
Huh.
And again, there's a creative element here. And then you have this image of men jumping off the boat, an army appearing out of the water. And again, it gives this idea that these people are coming home. They're finding a home. That this is permanent. This is we didn't go into this, but again, this is as you read this poetry, the images evoke other images and they evoke other thoughts. And again, the idea that eventually there is a permanency about life, there's a permanency about culture, that despite all the challenges that people face, for whatever reason, people will get through those challenges, and if they have the right heart, the world will be better. Does that make sense?
Certainly, yeah. There's so much going on in the poem.
And I think that for our readers and listeners, first of all, I do want to mention that this particular poem, Jesus Be a Durag, is from his book Bluff, through Grey Wolf Press. And
here's something too, and I'm thinking about the diction in the middle of the poem, the word choice. You've got bullet, you've got blood, and then you've got casket, be casket sharp, and banned. Let us be banned from early caskets. Let us not die prematurely from a bullet. If you remember, it's a few months ago now, and we have it in our series, the poem Power by Audre Lorde.
Yeah.
And there's an image there of a dead black child who was shot by a cop.
Right.
I think. Yeah, that's it. We can go back to it, but so I'm saying here, is there a, maybe quiet militancy would be inaccurate. Is this a militant poem?
It can be. It depends on how you read it.
Yeah, I mean, because I say that now, and I wouldn't have said it Friday because I wasn't awake enough, I think. But reflecting here, it in a sense is saying we have the word dome to shelter us. You can almost take that as shield us from what? From whatever reaches toward us to end us.
Right.
and that's got a lot of suggestion in it.
Again, this takes us back to the idea that this is a prayer. This is a call out for that actual protection. The Durag
against persecution, against assault, against genocide.
Yes.
Sure.
See, no, and again, this takes us back to the top. Jesus be a Durag. Well, what's the purpose? It's to cover us, to keep us. No, to keep us. No, and again, again, this poem just evokes such images of people huddled together, seeking shelter, braving the storm, braving whatever comes, and they're calling out, Jesus, Lord, God, help us. Again, like you said, an invocation. I would say that this is actually a spiritual poem.
We feel beautiful and we be beautiful. Let us know it.
An affirmation.
Yeah, really, I think that the smartest thing anybody could say about this poem is it speaks for itself.
Yes.
And you could qualify that with maybe the second thing is there's not one syllable wasted.
No,
there's
isn't.
Nothing in here for any padding. There's no posturing. It to me, it's something that I don't know. I haven't asked the poet, but I don't know how many drafts were gone through or anything, but it seems like something that somebody just boom sat down and wrote, like a tour de
That's what
force.
it feels like.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like. Is that excuse me? That this is a poem that could have been done in one sitting. He put it down there, and it's like this is done.
And I'll tell you something else now, and this pertains to the layout of the poem, the form of the poem. I'm looking at these tercets, these 3-line stanzas, and the lines are fairly long. I bought the ebook, and when I go to the page where this poem is on, it's not laid out that way. Of course, I wasn't reading, I was reading it accessed on my phone, but to get the full effect, you need to see it this way. Maybe on a Kindle, maybe I could adjust it because they say something about that, when you buy the book, buy an ebook.
Right.
But to really get the full effect of to marry the seeing with the hearing here, to not have those lines those long lines broken up,
Right.
but have them just the way the poet has them, and it's the poem is very, very strong in its rhythms.
Oh, definitely. And again, that really is what makes this poem so attractive to me, is how the language just flows, how lyrical the words actually are.
Can I give it a, because see,
Go.
reading it, it's not funny, ironic, coincidental. If it's well written, it'll be easy to read, but if it's well written, it will be pleasurable to read out loud. I read it the other day, and you started off with it, but and be mighty, black satin Savior stretched around my scalp. Take me in your hand and make me like the water. Be a way to tell my people I am their people. Sheer cape falling from my neck. Make me superhero, Captain Save-A-Ho from myself. Rag to make my unragged mornings. Let me wake up black and alive, and thinking I'm cute. Lord of lords, be a fence around my fly, be shield, be rock, be spell, be a dark and lovely magic, sweet Jesus. If you be God, be God, let whatever reaches toward us to end us slick pass. Let America drown in our waves. If a bullet must touch us, let it graze soft as a bristled brush. Let us spill no blood on a day we feel beautiful, and we be beautiful. Let us know it. Be casket sharp and banned from early caskets. No black person will die in this poem, but these waves might hurt somebody. Watch yourself. Swim good. Be happy. We sleep with these rags on. I heard a story once about a boy who brushed his hair for 40 days and 40 nights, and when he finally slept, he forgot to wrap his ocean up. Same night, mamas started crawling from his hairline, carrying babies. Men climbed out his waves like they had just jumped off the boat. A wet army, necromanced from naps. See, this hair is a right kind of holy. See, it's not hair at all. On top of our dome, a prayer carrying us home. You notice, or I seem to notice, how the rhythm takes a big shift with I heard a story once,
Right.
you know, going into the anecdote.
Right, because there's a shift. There's a shift in weight. There's a shift in the timing, if you will, and that shift signals we're moving from what was before. We're moving from the prayer to the dream. We're moving to the dream. We're moving to the imagination. We're moving into the mythic. Because these last two stanzas, the last two tercets, are the myth that is being built, the myth that is being created. And again, this is the last two stanzas that seal the poem. It's what finishes as a complete work. And again, I love these last two stanzas because in my mind I'm seeing this kid and how just through his day what he's doing. He's brushing out his hair, brushing out his hair, brushing out his hair, because it's his hair and it's magnificent, and he's got to keep it right, and he's got to do it right. And 40 days, 40 nights. I mean, this is biblical in a way of speaking, because 40-day fasts, 40-day journeys, and then when he's done with brushing his hair, he goes to sleep, and the magic happens, and people come out. Again, this is the dream. This is the vision, if you will. That, again, we come down to the last line, home, and the word home, and people come home. And home is not transitory. Home is permanent. You may have a house, but that house may not stand. But if you have a home, doesn't matter what house you're in, the people that you're with, that's home. And your home will stand as long as you have the people around you to stand with you. That's just a thought.
And I think a good one, as we move toward the conclusion of our comments on the poem, and
Pete,
what else would I say?
Yeah, what do you want to know? What's your conclusion?
And maybe also, sure, an invocation to a deity, also an invocation to the people that are being talked about in the poem, a call for unity, or to be cognizant of all they have in common. But I would say too, to anybody, who is reading poetry or trying to write poetry. I mean, this poem is I think a textbook of a poem for strong rhythm. Strong rhythm, images that come very naturally and all fit in very well. You learn from one learns, I think, from reading not the second rate, but the best of the first rate, and this is the best of the first rate for me. I've never seen another poem like it by anybody, and I'm glad that the poet so graciously gave us permission to do a YouTube on this, and it's a nice poem to keep with you, keep inside you, and reflect upon, and think of its power and its beauty.
Thank you, Pete. Appreciate that. Once again, we've covered Jesus Be a Durag by Danez Smith. I hope I'm saying his name right. You can pick up his work through Grey Wolf Press. This particular poem came from his book, Bluff, and I assume that he's got his books on Amazon.
They
They
refers. Yes, it's on Amazon.
And I would encourage our listeners, our viewers, to check out his work. And we'll bring back a new poem sometime soon. Thank you all for joining us today, and everybody have a great day. This is Jack with one poem.